What's happening, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. KG is back. Time for another show. Time for latest musings about Leeds United. A couple of whispers, a couple of rumors here and there. Thought, international break. I mean, why? Why anyway? Have you seen how many players are pulled out of this international break, by the way? Key players, Rashford, Haaland. What's the point? But hey, listen, here we are. Hit a like on the video if you just come in or you watch a replay. Subscribe if you're not subscribed, and drop your comments below on anything that's been discussed today. Let's get into some of your comments. Some of you were early. Some of you were early. Bill O saying, crazy how we wanted Rodrigo and Philip out this club, and now they're our best performers. Listen, I've said to you many times before, people, when you have new information, your opinion should change. Otherwise, you're just being stubborn. So, listen, they're both doing well right now, and long may it continue. JP here saying, watch the Wolves video. Watch a Wolves video, and they think refs are helping us stay in the league to keep American fans watching the Premier League. Oh gosh, yeah, I know there's been a lot of stuff being said over the weekend. It's been funny. It's been nice to be on the other end of it, hasn't it? Instead of us thinking, oh, the referee's against us. Oh, no one wants us to stay up. It's nice to see it on the other foot, isn't it? It's nice to see that. Jed saying, evening, KG, massive 3 points. The 3 points has lifted everybody that I've spoken to, everybody that I've seen comment. The mood has just been so good, and it's amazing, isn't it? Just how one win now up to 14th, and now everyone's outlook is a lot brighter. Well, almost everybody's. You guys can comment too if you still think we might. The people that think we're still going to get relegated, please let me know. But it's just one hell of a little mini league we're in right now, isn't it? It's absolutely insane. But hopefully, we're not doing this next season. Hopefully. Um, uh, Matthew here, morning, KG. Yeah, listen, morning, evening, afternoon, wherever you are in the world. Deshaun saying Rasmus redemption arc. Well, listen, Rasmus did very well when he came on. Not just his goal, I thought he did okay overall. But he's going to have opportunities. I think that was his opportunity just to let Javi Gracia let him know that I'm still here. Gracia talked about Rasmus as well, saying that he'd even play centre back if needs be. He's just desperate to play, and I think it's quite something. I don't know how anyone else feels, but it's quite telling that he was used in more of that role than bringing on Liam Cooper. Whether Cooper was fit or not, I don't know, but yeah, listen, he's got opportunities, and I think the opportunities will come for the rest of the season for Rasmus as well. Adam saying the international break comes at a good time. Lots of time to move on from Marshbourne, keep it move forward. It's a lot more time for the key thing for me is to get Rodrigo and players like that fit. Sinistera as well. I think it's just a good time because we don't really have a lot of internationals when you really think about it. I saw a picture of one that they tweeted out on the Leeds United thing. There was a lot of first team players in that picture, so it just tells you a little bit. It tells you another bit of a story, but he's going to have a lot of time then to work with a lot of the players that he uses in the first 11. So it's only a good thing for me. I think that the win before the break has been an absolute blessing. It's been a blessing. Luis saying finally catching a KG live. Big up, yeah, big up to you, man. Luis, he also said, got finals exams. Lads, wish me luck. Good luck in your exams, Luis. Hope for the best. And listen, if the worst outcome comes, your life isn't over. Okay. It just means you're supposed to go down a different path. Remember that. Okay. But do your best. And yeah, hello to everybody, man. Listen, and also shout out to John Abbott, Liam Moore, John L. David Roberts for super thanks on the last videos. Thank you so much for your donations. Deshaun saying Cooper needs to hold the bench for the foreseeable future. He is, isn't he? He's not getting a sniff, and it's hard to argue that, isn't it, with Max Verber? And also talking about the guy next to him, and we'll talk about Robin Koch a bit later. I think it's very telling with Robin Koch some of his comments lately in terms of how he feels about Leeds now. But we'll talk about that later. We'll talk about that later. I want to start off on the main man. Unbelievable, like the first person said, unbelievable be saying this about Rodrigo, but how good was it to see Rodrigo back? It was brilliant to see him back. I know it was a substitute appearance, but I believe with the international break, a couple more weeks, the Arsenal game, he'll be well up to speed, especially for those two key games against Forest and Palace. I think that it's absolutely vital, and you saw what Rodrigo does for Leeds United in terms of being the tip of our attack. He is the instinctive finisher out of everyone that we've currently got out of our senior players. And it's imperative for me that even if we're playing one up front still, that he's the man that starts. I think he has to be the starter. Bamford, for all his endeavor and hold up this and that, he hasn't seized the opportunity for me. This is my opinion. Please let me know if you disagree. He didn't seize the opportunity while Rodrigo was out injured enough to say to anybody, I deserve to keep my shirt. For me, it's Rodrigo. As soon as he's back up to speed, he's good to go. And Sean saying here, think Bamford and Rodrigo up top together. That's definitely a possibility, Sean. But I'm just going on the basis that we just keep seeing one up front. And for me, if it's the one up front, it has to be Rodrigo. And just by the way, I mean, I'm sure we've all watched the Wolves highlights over and over again. But how good was that first touch by Rodrigo on his right to shift it back onto his left? Lord have mercy. It was beautiful. And yeah, David, great pass by Somerville too, absolutely. But the touch by Rodrigo to put it in, and this is where I'm going with this, because you've seen Bamford, and listen, this is no disrespect to Bamford, but we've seen the evidence. His first touch hasn't been very good when he's running for on goal. And in all fairness to Bamford as well, he did have a chance where Aaronson should have played him in, give him a chance to at least shoot at goal. But then Aaronson did play him in the second half, and he slipped over. Now, isolated incident, that's not a bad thing. But we've also seen Bamford air kick a few times while Rodrigo's been out. So, and that's just the reason why. And you see the chip by Rodrigo. I'm not fully confident Bamford would score that kind of goal. Rodrigo came in and sealed the deal. Yeah, I mean, listen, Allison here, hi KG. Rodrigo is a natural finisher. I don't know about natural, but he's definitely a better finisher, Allison. I think it has to be said. You've seen it. He scored all kinds of goals in the box this season, and he's just our main man. And he gives us something what a lot of the bottom teams around us haven't got right now. He just gives us that little bit extra. What is everyone saying in regards to the Rodrigo debate? Um, David saying, no, no, we can't play both Bamford and Rodrigo. I hear that. I hear that. For me, David, I'm kind of on that same thinking. I think it's just too plodding. I think that Rodrigo, even though he does have a little bit more pace, I'd love to see like Gnonto behind him, rather than Bamford, and then put Sinistero when he's fully fit out on the left. But that's just me. That's just me. Deshaun saying sometimes it's like Bamford has a lead hammer in his boot. I hear you. I hear you. I hear you, man. Mikan saying, so pleased to see a happy KG, great win all, still enjoying the league table. Yeah, man, it's nice, isn't it? 14th in the table. It's insane right now, isn't it? It's insane to be 14th, but long may it continue. Uh, Tom is saying, at the very least, Rodrigo is more clinical. And in our position, Tom, that's exactly where I'm going with this, because yes, he doesn't have the intangibles of running up and down and really hustling defenses. That's not really his job. But what he does when we do go forward, and we do go forward quite a lot for a team that's near the bottom, we do create a lot of chances. He does finish them off, and that can't be disputed this season. So long may it continue, and he has to be the starter for me. But that's just me. If you disagree, obviously put it in the comments after too. Ted is saying Rodrigo's been magnificent since being moved to striker. 100% Ted. For all the experiments that we've seen with Rodrigo, centre mid. I mean, what were we doing? But that's on the coaches. Centre mid. What was he doing there? Out on the left. But in all fairness, when I saw him play for Valencia out on the left, he was doing well. But then La Liga, Premier League, Champions League, it's all very different, isn't it? So maybe that wasn't a match for him over here. But as a striker, I don't care about all the ancillary stuff about running about, being busy, and everything else like that. He finishes off the goals, and we've got enough players in that team that can pick up the slack of pressing from the front. That's what it is for me. Stuart here, Bamford just brings so much more to the table than goals. Yeah, I mean, Stuart, I've said that before in regards to Bamford in terms of hold up play and stuff like that. But even that's been a little bit rusty in the time that Rodrigo's been out. You'd have to agree. Sometimes his first touch has gone back to the halfway line, and he's been in the opposition box. So I'm exaggerating, but it's been that bad. And it's all well and good saying he brings so much more to the table than goals. But apart from Man United away, we've been struggling for goals. We've been struggling, and he's been a big part of that. David is saying scoring rate for Rodrigo has been amazing this season. It has. Can't argue with it. And I always remember a comment I got about when you know when remember when Mitrovic was red hot and he couldn't stop scoring, saying, "Oh, I wish we had Mitrovic over Rodrigo." Well, you look at it now, you look at it, as we stand here today on the 21st of March, and I'm not just saying it because of Mitrovic's head loss against Man United, and we can speak about that. But Rodrigo and Mitrovic have got pretty much the same kind of goals, haven't they? Yes, Mitrovic does all the hustling and bustling, and we've seen that ourselves in a championship where he elbowed Ben White in the head, and we've even seen it in the Prem too. But for me, in terms of who I trust at this point in time, I'd take Rodrigo over Mitrovic. I'm just talking about the outlay it would to get Mitrovic in. It would cost a lot of money. He'd be very expensive. I'd just stick with Rodrigo and go for somebody else in the summer. That's just me, though. That's just me. I see all the Gnonto comments. We're going to get to that at the end of the show. Promise. I promise. Um, Liam B is saying, I think we can now get something from the Arsenal game. A draw would be acceptable. Okay, Liam, a draw would be magnificent against Arsenal. You have to put the full context on it. Arsenal are going for the league title. And you know what? Apart from the games that they've played against us, and I would say Everton away, they've been magnificent all season. They have literally been magnificent all season long in the league. Cannot even argue with that. Now, on this channel, we don't do free hits here. There's no such thing as a free hit because anybody can go anywhere. Listen, Southampton went Man United, got a draw. We went to Man United, get a draw. We've also beaten Liverpool away. There's no such thing as a free hit. But there are games where you think we might not get nothing out of this one. And listen, Arsenal are on fire. And we're not doing an Arsenal preview just yet, but I look towards the individual matchups and say Luke Ayling's up against Martinelli. Yeah, it might be a long day, but listen, we'll talk about that when it comes to the time. Of course we will. David is saying we played so well against Arsenal at Ellen Road. We definitely did. We absolutely did. Hey, listen, and it was because of Rodrigo's. Remember that wild pass he did, that crossfield pass in our own half. That's the reason why we went behind. Remember, I think since then he was told, "No, listen, mate, you stay in our box. All right, don't come anywhere near the halfway line. All right, stay here." So yeah, I know we did play well in that one, and in that game as well. That's where Bamford did get a perfectly good goal disallowed. The tussle with Gabriel was fair. Both of them were grabbing each other, and we get the foul given against us. So, yeah. Uh, yeah, Blinky Fish, I'd take a point now against Arsenal. I would 100%. 100%. Mikan here saying we have two decent options up front, guys. It's not one or the other. Javi has choices, and yeah, he does have choices, and that's the good thing, isn't it? Especially with all the injured players coming back. You've seen the bench now, you've seen the starting, and I expect it to revolve a bit. You heard Javi Gracia talk about how important Rodrigo is. So I would expect Rodrigo to come back into the starting lineup eventually, and maybe a couple others, maybe Sinistero when he's up to speed. But you see that even then, the players that will get moved to the bench, the squad's looking much healthier. Adams goes out, McKennie comes in next to Rucker. That's what we're talking about, people. That's what I've been talking about for years. All this stuff about having to choose between Click, Forshaw, and Lewis Bate. And I stand by it. I 100% stand by it. I remember somebody tried to come back to me and say Lewis Bate, oh, well, he's at Oxford United now alone. What are you saying? Yeah, that doesn't mean our two midfielders are any better because I still think Forshaw and Click will probably play in League One themselves. You know what I mean? So that don't mean nothing to me. But at the time, those were our choices. And it's good that we're not having to rely on that. We've even got JB, who is he's outperforming the level that he's at, the under 21s. It seems like he's too good for that level, but it seems like he's stuck in between the first team and that level at this point in time. But we've got him as well. We've got Archie Gray, who's by all accounts ready to go as well. So we have a lot of good choices in that central midfield right now. It's really good to see. Matthew Hensel is saying the people that support Bamford, even though he's the worst striker in the PL, are the same people giving Aaronson rubbish, even though he's only 22. Yeah, I mean, listen, as well with Aaronson. Hey, Matthew, that's a good one as well. Aaronson, yeah, I get saw a lot of comments, especially from Charlie West. Charlie West out there, you know who you are. Whenever there's a comment about Aaronson, he's there, man. It's like he's got an alert whenever Aaronson's mentioned. But Aaronson, for me, I think at this point in time, I'm not giving up on him at 22. I think this is another scenario where you're looking at the potential of the player, and I can't forget as well. Earlier in the season, he had so many assists robbed from him due to poor finishing by said Patrick Bamford. He had so many assists robbed from him in that period. Where if there was a competent striker up front at that time, he would have had more assists. So I think there is still a good player there. I just feel like he still needs to adapt to being a little bit more, elusive with his body, the way his body is right now. He needs to stop running into people and trying to hope that he's going to get a free kick. Referees talk. You've seen how many referees just tell him to get up. That's not a coincidence. I still think that there's a decent player there. So I'm not giving up on Brendan Aronson yet. I still think he's got good potential, and maybe we'll see more of it next season. Sean, yeah, first half of the season, Aronson was excellent. I thought so too. I don't think it's any coincidence that since he went to, the World Cup and didn't really play all that much, that his form, maybe his confidence has dropped a little bit. But I still think he's a good player. I do. He just has to just get a little bit smarter. But at 22, he's still got time to learn. He does. Um, Everyone keeps on talking about this. Aronson got potential, need to bulk up. Everyone keeps saying that. We'll see if that's what the medical or the coaching staff say that he needs to work on over the summer. If not, they'll probably just look at his movement and say, "Listen, you're a quick guy. You're an elusive guy. Use it to your advantage." Because if he used it to his advantage more, he'd be so much better. He'd be so much better. Liam B saying, why didn't VAR get involved in the tackle against Harrison by Dawson? I'll be honest, Liam, I didn't think that was a red card. I know it looked bad, but I think a yellow card was the right decision for me. But what I will say is that the foul, he literally fouled somebody a minute later when play restarted. That should have been a second yellow. So it should have been a red card in at some point, but it wouldn't have been for that one for me. It would have been for the second yellow. That's just in my opinion. And David here, in regards to Aronson, hopefully Aronson will come good again. He's got the talent. He definitely has. I think it's way too early to give up on him because, as well, I want to cast your mind back as well when he was playing more on the right hand side of our midfield. When he was playing on the right, he was really good there. In the attacking midfield 10, he runs into traffic way too much. But on the width, with playing with width, I thought he was really good. I do. I think he was good. Um, but yeah, so yeah, there it is in regards to that, and Rodrigo. So we spoke about those two. I mean, Aronson, I'm glad that somebody mentioned him because like I say, there are some people that think that he shouldn't have been bought. And again, it's not his fault. I gotta say this: it's not his fault that he cost as much money he did. That's on the club for paying that money. But at the same time as well, on Brendan's side, he knows that he's going to cost that much, so he knows that he's going to have to deliver at some point. So it works both ways. What we got next? What we got next on the docket? Okay, at this point, if you haven't already, please hit a like on the video. There's over 200 of you here. Please do that for me. Best way to help the channel, and it's free, and it doesn't take long for you to do. Robin Koch and his contract. Now, the Robin Koch and contract has been talked about. I mean, I remember talking about this back in January, where Phil Hayes said that the club are working on the contract, and it looks like he's going to stay. That was when Llorente signed a new deal, and he's like, "Well, how we keep Stroud could sign a new deal late December? How are we keeping all these centre backs happy?" Um, But obviously, there's been whispers and rumors in terms of Robin Koch now looking for clauses in his contract and things like that before he signs on. He says he doesn't believe Leeds are going to be relegated, so he wants to stay. He feels more at home. He's more comfortable in the team. He's more comfortable in the city, which is pretty big. But he also believes that there could be an opportunity to play at a higher level. And higher level, obviously, we're in the Premier League. So high level, obviously, meaning Europe, where it be Europa League or Champions League. Now, listen, nothing against Robin Koch. It's good to have those kind of ambitions. And if him and his agent have come together and have heard of interest from bigger teams, we're hearing, latest one, Tottenham, then that's good for him. Good for him in terms of having that kind of interest in him, and you can see why. Listen, the centre back market is not as great as it used to be. It clearly isn't, by the way. The centre back market isn't as great as it used to be, but I think Robin Koch is a serviceable centre back, and I think that you've seen the progression since he's playing with Max Verber rather than Liam Cooper. He looks a lot more assured. He looks a lot more comfortable. He doesn't look so jittery. So where he thinks that maybe his partner's going to make a mistake and he has to clean up for him. I think that he's improved since Max Verber's arrived, and I think you could account that for a few defenders. But if he's looking for a clause in his contract, what I would say to Leeds fans that think, oh well, if he ain't going to sign for the club, well, then he needs to just go. I'd say it's just looking at him being happy, but he realizes that if an opportunity comes, that he could go. He could go. Liam B is saying Robin should be signing an extension to his contract. Yeah, I mean, I hope he does. I hope he does. I think that we still need to get another centre back in the summer. I do believe that, but injury suspensions happen. But I love the partnership between Verber and Koch, so I don't see any reason to break it up at this point. But if you can get someone who's even better, then do it. But in terms of Robin Koch, his contract's up 2024. He's somebody that I definitely believe we have to tie down, especially in the centre back market. He's obviously garnering some interest from clubs. Otherwise, these kind of things wouldn't come up. And if he's asking for relegation clauses, if he's asking for minimum release clauses from a Champions League or Europa League clubs, then just do it. But make it so it works for both him and for the club. What are people saying in regards to Robin Koch? Let me know. Deshaun saying it's just business. Wouldn't blame him for leaving if we go down. I mean, that's a whole different conversation. You'd expect quite a few of our players to go if we go down. That just goes without saying. Tom is saying there are good CBs out there. If you look, some aren't getting play time. Okay, yeah, all right. And AVF ASMR, will Adams get his place? Absolutely, he will. So yeah, I mean, what are people saying in regards to Robin Koch? Let me know. David is saying surely we should get Koch signed up and happy at the end of the season when we stay up as we hope. Yeah, I mean, he's already said, and I mean, listen, somebody who also comes out and says that he pictures himself being captain of the club, that means he does want to stay. But it's just one of those where I love being where I am, but if I can go somewhere else who's slightly more ambitious, I would like to speak to him. And for me, I know this doesn't sound great for Leeds fans, but there's nothing wrong with that. There really isn't. Unless the club you're at is going to try and move at the same pace that you want to move at, there's nothing wrong with that. You know what? Someone's mentioning Calvin Phillips there, and that's a good point. Listen, Calvin Phillips, you saw Calvin Phillips, right? Loved being at Leeds. Leeds fan, loved the players. You saw how he got on with Tyler Roberts and Luke Ayling and all these guys. He absolutely loved it. But at the same time, he knew that to fulfill his ambitions, it wasn't going to be done with these same kind of players here. So it's not always just about loving your teammates and being a harmonious dressing room. It's also going to be about the ambition of the player. Now, some players do stay when they enjoy being at a club, and that's cool. But some people do have ambitions to play at a higher level. And sometimes it's not just about who you get on with at the club, it's about the ambition of the club. And if they're not going to match it, then they're going to want to move on. Bill O is saying 2 straight relegation battles. Who can blame him for wanting better pastures? Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mean, listen, in terms of that, that's what I'm talking about. In terms of I'm going to try and be nice, but when certain people say that Luke Ayling's had a good little period now, so he should be our starting right back next season, you can't then cry in the next sentence if Willie Gnonto or Robin Koch or one of those kind of players decides to leave. You can't have both, I'm afraid. So you need to move on. You need to, just imagine his agent coming in and saying, we want to stay. And who you looking at in the summer? How are you going to strengthen this team in summer so we're not in the same position again? And they say, well, actually, Victor and Andrea say, actually, well, Luke Ayling did really well. So we're thinking of starting him next season. Robin Koch and his agent will probably go back and say, all right, then, okay, we'll come back to you. You just have to picture and think of stuff like that because those kind of conversations happen in football. They happen in football a lot. Uh, Nico here saying Cock has been solid recently, but I don't see him playing for a team that play in Europe. Good for him though to aim high. 100% Nico. Like when I think of Robin Koch now, do I see him playing or even getting near an Arsenal team or No, not even Liverpool, because Liverpool's centre backs aren't that bad actually. So you're right. You're right in terms of that. But if there's a project, we're hearing the Newcastle murmurs. Newcastle there with Fabian Shah, he's 30, 31. Would Robin Koch probably want to go there? More than likely. So it is one of those where you have to protect your asset, but he's obviously asking for some new clauses in his contract, and I've got no problem with it. But I just hope that we do get him signed. Andy saying love Ailing, but we need to upgrade in the summer. 100%, 100% we do. Um, but hey, that's just me. That's just me. Yeah, Nico, squad player maybe for top tier teams. Yeah, and unfortunately, he goes to the point where if he goes to one of those clubs, he'll probably back himself to try and break in eventually. So he will go, even though he's probably guaranteed starts here at Leeds United. So we just have to keep an eye on that one because that Robin Cut contract thing I thought was going to be sorted in January, but at the moment it's not. But let me know in the comments what you think in regards to Robin Cut. Let me know. Okay, so on to Javi Gracia now. Let me just get this graphic up. Okay, courtesy of LUFC data. Uh, yes, Danny, I take Walker Peters from Southampton if they go down. I would too. Not my first choice, but I would get him. Javi Gracia, and listen, this is from LUFC data. Shout out to him. Always good with these kind of stats. Since Javi Gracia was appointed on the February 21st, only Arsenal, Villa, Man City have earned more points than Leeds in the Premier League table. Astounding stat, being fair. That is absolutely outstanding. So 4 games. We're currently seventh in the form table. I don't usually go by that, but I think it's important in terms of what I'm going to be talking about now. So that's 7 points. That's a brilliant return from where we were. It's actually an excellent return considering where we were before. So Javi Gracia for me at this point in time, he's actually earning the grace now. No matter how much I look at the starting lineup, sometimes I go, I'm not sure about this. He's earning that grace now where you have to look at him now and go, okay, what is Javi Gracia cooking for this game? Because he's obviously got some kind of plan. That's one thing that this manager does have, and that is a plan. And he also has a plan B, which is brilliant to see. Um, I absolutely love what he's done so far. He's the kind of manager that we need right now in terms of his style. And I couldn't be more steadfast on that. The whole gung ho football, swashbuckling football is not where we need to be right now. So all of that needs to be parked, and I hope fans are also on board with that because we can't do it. We don't have the Arsenal to do it right now. So he's doing what he's doing best. He adjusts game to game. You saw the game plan against Brighton was way different to the one against Wolves. Can't argue with it. Cannot argue. So even if I got my preferences of who I'd prefer to see in the team, he's getting it right so far. So full credit to Javi Gracia. Let me know exactly what you feel about our current coach. David, should we get drama back next season, KG? Um, it depends. That's a whole different story, David, because we don't know. He's already had 2 coaches where the the trust or playing time hasn't been given, especially when the position hasn't been filled in that well. So I don't know if he's going to be here, but if he does go, it's going to have to be the summer because his contract's up in 2024. So it's one of those where we either sign him to a new deal and he stays or goes out on loan for another year, or he stays and fights for one of the 2 places. Ted here saying Gracia used plan set plays on corners effectively. We've definitely got better. Liam Moore is echoing that as well. Absolutely. I mean, you only have to see that one with Mark Rucker. Now, I know Wolves defense switch stuff. That's on them, though. The fact that we had the nous to get that done when it's usually been done against us, that's the manager. That is manager taking care of set pieces in training. Bill O saying Gracia doesn't subscribe to doing the same thing over and over again with the hope it will work. 100% Bill. And unfortunately, no matter how much you love the first one or even dislike the second one, that was what Bielsa and Marsh did. It's like if the first plan don't work, we're just going to try it again and make sure it works. You have to adjust, and you see it in the Premier League. You see the very best in the league, or even just the tier below the best. They adjust during the games, and that was what Gracia has done. That is what Gracia has done during these games. Full credit. Karen here saying Javi has done Javi doing great. We have a manager who will change the tactics tactically for each game. We are playing with more wit, which is good. Yeah, and something that Luke Ayling also echoed as well last week. Something that he said, something that he said last week as well. I think that the players do prefer it, and you can see why. We've got good wide players in our team. It makes sense, doesn't it? If you're going to play a narrow system, you have to have narrow players. It's as simple as that. You can work with any system, but you've got to have the right players for it. And we've got like 4 or 5 wide options, so we have to use them. And yeah, he's definitely getting the best out of them. Joe here, love Gracia's calmness and tactics of work so far. You see, people keep saying he's calm, but I've seen him, get animated on the sideline. But yeah, he's not like Jesse Marsh where he'll get in the referee's ear. Although I did like it from what we had before, where we used to get sort of hacked down in the penalty box and no one's appealing for a penalty, which is ridiculous, by the way. But yeah, he's definitely more calm than our previous coach. That's 100% true. David here, this is the one we defend so much better as a team under Gracia. That is something that cannot be denied. He has set us up so well. And even though it was frustrating people against Brighton when we're the home team, he knew it. He said it. He said what everyone was thinking. If we open up against Brighton, they will pick us off. And then you saw what he did against Wolves. We got the lead early, which was perfect. And then it was up to Wolves to try and come onto us and try and break us down. He's got it right. He's got it right in that instance. NJ1 is saying Gracia is using our better players against the team around us, i.e. Gnonto. He's making us better than the teams around us. This is the thing, though. I know I'm not overrating the team. I'm really not. But we should have more wins on the board than we've currently got. We should. I look at the team that we've got. I look at how we've attacked this season. We should be in better condition than we are. But listen, we're not. I know we can't redo that. But yeah, you're absolutely right. And that's the thing as well that gives me hope in terms of us staying above that dreaded dotted line. We're gonna go into each game with a different plan, different setup, and Gracia will have us getting more points than not. That's just my opinion at this point in time. Oh yes, Andy, great. Great to see Gracia screaming at Somerville to go for our fourth goal. Killer. That is 100%. Wish I'd remembered that, by the way. Good point, Andy. That is what I'm talking about. Not being content with the 3-2 or just going to the corner. No, they've stopped playing football. Go and finish them off and put this game beyond doubt. And he done that. Love to see that. Matt, I'm glad we got Gracia in as if I were a Palace fan, I'd start worrying. I'm gonna speak about that in a bit. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Uh CB. Is it fair to say we stayed up last season despite Marsh? This season, if we stay up, it will be because of Javi. No, no, we can't do that. Listen, Jesse Marsh, at the end of the day, come in at a real difficult time. Real difficult time. No matter what you want to say, the confidence of the players was on the floor. Some of the players they've checked out, clearly checked out. They weren't playing for Bielsa anymore. We come off of February, we conceded over 20 goals, and he had to right that ship. Now it doesn't matter how he did it or what happened. He was the man in charge for that. So he has to get credit for that. And it's the reason why, I mean, someone just spoke about Crystal Palace. He was kind of half linked to that job as well before they gave it back to Hodgson. So I would never take that away from that, because then if we had gone down, those same people then would have said, "Oh, if we had kept Bielsa, we would have stayed up." I don't think you can rewrite history because of that. But Javi is definitely doing his bit in terms of trying to keep Leeds United in the Prem, 100%. Uh, Nige, we should have at least 6 to 8 point. Sorry, we should have at least 6 to 8 points more this season. 100%, Nige. 100%. And we're going to go through that when we do the end of season review. And especially that I can't get over those games near the start of the season where we didn't get one win in that cluster of games that was so winnable. Ah, yeah, gutting, gutting. But listen, we are where we are. Let's go with it from now. Stuart here saying, I agree, he's done a fantastic job. Some of his substitutions have been a bit strange. Example, Rasmus for Gnonto, if he hadn't scored that goal. Yeah, I hear what you're saying in terms of Gnonto coming off at 60 minutes. I understand that 100%. But you have to remember at that time as well, Wolves had made about 4 changes. So we needed to change our system. And it's good that he done it. Yeah, whether Nanto was the right one to take off, that's debatable. It does seem like some players don't get subbed off until like the 80th minute still. But he made the right choice in terms of making us more solid at the back. So I can see his reasoning, but yeah, of course, the player being subbed off can be questioned 100%. Sam Smith, stay with me. Sorry if you've heard that one before. You probably have. My bad, my bad. Do you think Javi stays for next season when we stay up? I love that, Sam, though. When we stay up, I love that talk. Talk that talk, Sam. Listen, I'm gonna say this. I think that I hope that he does keep us up, but I understand why it's a flexible contract. I understand why it's a contract where we may say adios in the summer. I'm not one of the people that think just because he keeps us up, he should stay. I think that's very short sighted because I look at Javi Gracia in bigger picture terms and think from now, 2 years from now, say March 2025, do we think this guy will be here? I don't know. And I'm only going by the record that he's had previously in his management career, whether he's been sacked or left. That is what it is. But I'm just going by his previous record. Now, in the summer, if it comes to the point where we go for a long term coach, Gallardo, and the guy from Bilbao, what's his name again? I can't remember his name. I've forgotten already. But if we're going for a coach that's got more of a long term thinking, I'm in that camp. I would love to see that. But if Gracia is here at the start of the season next season, I won't be upset. Iriola, there it is. That's it. That's the name. Iriola. So I won't be upset if he is here and we stay up 100%. I won't be upset. But if we're going for a new long term approach, then I'm for that one too. I mean, what are you guys saying? That's a real good question. So, if Javi stays, keeps us up, would you want him to stay next summer? Sam follows up though, saying he knows his job, Iriola in the summer. Could be that. Could be that. Yeah, that's what the agreement could have been because I also look at that flexible contract thing and say they could have given him a contract for 18 months, but then say if we go down and he doesn't want to stay, there's a break in the contract. They could have done that. But I think the fact that it's a flexible contract and that he was so low down on the manager list that maybe he isn't the long-term successor. But maybe everyone's trying to see how it plays out. Who knows? Who knows? Karen Noe is saying, I hope he does stay. I like his whole approach. Okay. Gavin saying, no need to change if he keeps us up. David saying, I think it would be so harsh to get rid of Javi if we stay up, in my opinion. Uh, And Danny here saying, I give Gracia a go, even if, and that's a big if we go down. Yeah, I mean, I would stick with him if we went down 100%. But I guess it all depends on what your ambitions are, where you want Leeds United to be in the Prem. I mean, can he take us to the next level? And at this point in time, the next level for us is trying to get mid-table and flirting with a Europa Conference League. So we're talking about that bit of the table where we're currently cut adrift from. Is he going to be the guy to take us there? And that's the kind of outlook I look at it from. Hisham here saying, I'm with you, KG. I don't know if he's the man for a long-term project. Let's solely focus on surviving this season first. Yeah, 100%. 100%. But yeah, listen, that's a real good question. So let me know in the comments how you feel about that in regards to if Javi Gracia keeps us up. Okay, can't go on to Hudson just yet. Got to go to Okay, sorry. Super chat from Ruben. Shout out to you. Thank you for the donation, Ruben. Do you think Cine will ever come back into the starting 11? And if so, who comes off? Seems like Harrison is highly favored right now by Gracia. Yeah, that's what I mean. I don't know who he comes in for. I'll be honest. I would have said Harrison myself. I think Harrison's done well in the past 2 games. But you're right. Even Harrison, he stays on, doesn't he? He stays on long into the game. So I don't know if he does come back in just yet, but we'll wait and see. Sinistero didn't even play against Wolves. So we'll wait and see what happens there. But it's good to have these options, isn't it? As long as Jack keeps this up. And I'm going to give Jack some leeway here because I'm a fair man. I don't like Anyone knows me, I'm very fair. Even if Jack does diddly squat against Arsenal, I don't care. I don't care. If you're going to have an off game, okay, have it against Arsenal. But I expect you to turn up against Forest and Palace. I need to see you in both. Okay. All right. See, I'm a fair guy. I'm a fair guy. Yeah. I mean, yeah, he comes in for Aaronson. I mean, that's probably a fair one. Probably a fair one, isn't it? But yeah, Terry here though saying, "Sorry, no room for sentiment in football. It's a business." Absolutely, 100%. That's where I am, Terry, and obviously that's where you are. But there's a lot of sentimental people out there. There is a lot of sentimental people. But listen, we all see football in a different way. But that's what makes it so great. All right, let's talk on Willie Gnonto, people. Is everyone ready for the next subject? Obviously, if you haven't already, please hit a like on the video, subscribe if you're not subscribed, drop your comments after. But yeah, Gnonto, via the Gazzetta, they're linking him now. They're saying that Man City and Arsenal are interested in Willie Gnonto. Now, again, I haven't seen any other credible links to it, but I think it's a subject just worth touching on just for the point of talking about a Willie Gnonto possibly leaving Leeds United come the summertime. Now, for me, I don't think he's going to go. I think that he'll probably stay here another season. But if it is true that a Man City or Arsenal are going to come in for him, then it's highly likely that he'd probably want to explore that. And you can see why. You can see why, couldn't you? But I do feel that he's developing well here. I think this is probably the best place for him. He's a key man here. Whereas if he moves to the other two, he'll probably be a bit part. And at his age, I think it's good that he gets to, the full first team football experience that he's been getting here, apart from those 2 weeks where Gracia benched him. But if we're talking Nanto leaving, and let's just say he does leave, I got to see some huge money, people. I'm not going to lie. I need to see some big money. I'm seeing Moses Caicedo at Brighton being bought for a paltry sum and Brighton not even selling him for 70 million. I'm seeing that. And he's playing in a position where unless you're the tippy top of your field, you shouldn't be costing 70 million pounds. Not in that position that Moses Caicedo plays in. So if we're talking that kind of money, we've got to be speaking about those money. I don't care how much he cost us. When it cost us less than 5, they should have done their scouting, their diligence, and got ahead of us and bought him for 4.5 million or whatever it was. I mean, Brian's saying 60 million. I'm saying, nah, Danny, I'm saying about 80 million. 100% with you there. Yeah, 26 million is that's not happening. It's not happening. And this comes back to the whole point of big six clubs thinking that just because they want a player that they can get him and whatever they think he's worth, he should be sold. That kind of thinking is old school. That kind of thinking is where before the Premier League became so rich with money. The reason why Brighton were able to reject Arsenal's bids is because they don't need to sell unless it benefits them. We can even look at Declan Rice being talked at over 100 million. Now, okay, we all know Declan isn't worth over 100 million, but to West Ham United, he is. So you can't question that and say, oh, he's not worth that. Just sell him us for 60. No, you go and make your own Declan Rice then. You go find another Declan Rice for cheaper. But this Declan Rice will be here unless you pay the money. And that is how we have to be with Willie Gnonto if he does decide that he wants to explore those kind of pastures. Karen though is saying Gnonto not for sale. He's staying with us, and I'm with you, Karen. I would not be selling this guy. I don't care what bid comes in. Let me tell you, unless Gnonto himself says I want to leave, at that point for me, you've got to let them go. There is no point keeping a player that does not want to be here, and I've always been steadfast on that. Even with Rafinha last season, if he doesn't want to be here, let them go as long as you get a good price. But in terms of if he wants to stay and it's about clubs negotiating with us, keep him. 100% keep him at all costs because this is the kind of player that we should be building around. Not seeing him walk out the door while we've still got players in the starting lineup that should not even be touching Premier League football. That's how you stay in a constant relegation battle. So for me, you build around Gnonto, you build around Adams, you build around these kind of players. Verber as well. Another big shout out to Max Verber for that performance against Wolves on the weekend. Magnificent. Hey, John, oi, Mudryk costs 100 million. This is what I'm talking about, people. Now, who would you rather have at this point in time, Mudryk or Gnonto? I think it's a pretty easy answer, isn't it? So for any of these big six club fans, because they'll be coming out, Arsenal fans, Man City fans. Oh no, no, we should have him. 50 million. You should be lucky to get 50. No, you should have scouted him for 4.5 million. NJ1 saying he's already a full international. 80 million could be considered cheap, especially with his age. I'm sorry, I'm not looking at anything less than premium money for this guy. He not only does he get goals, people, he gets assists, he creates chances, he takes out players on his own. He'll take out two, three players in the game because they'll be busy marking him. We're not letting him go for no cheap money. Not letting him go. But I mean, what are people saying in regards to that? Listen, there's no concrete rumors, by the way. But what are you saying? Liam is saying Willie's not for sale at any price. I'm with you, Liam. I'm absolutely with you. Richard saying Gnonto yesterday in an interview said he loves playing Ellen Road and he can't wait. The Leeds fans are amazing. Yeah, I mean, listen, they'll always say stuff like that, and they have to. But I hear what you're saying. Of course, he's going to love it at Leeds, and you can see that. You see the rapport he's building with the fans. You see how many social media clips do you see of this guy giving his shirt to the kids? Or doing stuff. That whole school thing was hilarious, by the way. He's sitting with the children. He looked like a bigger child. You know what I mean? He looked like he could have been a kid. But it's good. He gets involved with the community. I think he's very grateful for Leeds for giving him this platform. And Paul, he's only 19. For me, he stays here. And I just look at the logjam as well in his position wide left where he mainly plays. Yeah. He'll be going to if he's going to Arsenal, he's got Martinelli and Trossard to contend with. And if he goes to Man City, he has Grealish to contend with. He has Phil Foden sometimes play out there. So there's a lot of things going on there where his minutes will get stifled. So yeah, I mean, for me, and Paul Willie hugging support Saturday. And also, you saw the clip of him, which I absolutely love, of him shaking Rasmus's brain out after the win against Wolves. So he's doing that kind of stuff. You can see he's highly involved. He's a highly valued member, obviously very liked here. I think he stays another year. I hope that's what happens. But you all know what happens in this game of football, people. Sometimes the agents will advise their player, no, you need to take this move now because it might not be here for you next season. So we'll keep an eye on that one. We'll keep an eye on that one. But for me, Willie stays. Willie stays. Now, I mean, yeah, I mean, what? Yeah. So, and again, listen, leave your comments in after as well. What you do with Willie? Pause. Now, Hisham here. What do you think of Hodgson's appointment at Palace, KG? We'll finish off with this one because you see this now with Roy Hodgson. Now, people that have been on this channel, because he was here when I first started this channel, by the way, people that remember me talking about Palace, I always used to use Palace as an example of what I never wanted Leeds United to be. And that is a team that is just happy to survive every year, no ambition, just do enough to survive. And that's what Palace were under Hodgson. Now, under Vieira, yes, the results haven't been great lately. But you look at what Palace have got coming up, and I include the game against us as well, by the way, because they'll be looking at our game and thinking we could go to Leeds and beat them, but they won't. I just don't get why they've gone backwards into this kind of mold where now, I know James McCarthy's left, but McCarthy's still there. That Mihailovic is still there. So he's probably going to come barricade the midfield again with 4 DMs in there, 6 defenders. It's going to be ugly football, but Palace are looking at it and they've now come into the bracket of anybody can go down. They're in that section now where they probably hoped that they wouldn't be in. But really, Roy Hodgson, I just Terry, yeah, desperation. It is. It screams of panic to me. Now, Patrick Vieira, for whatever people want to say about him in regards to his record this season, last season he got them up to what was it, 12th, and the FA Cup semi-final. He got them that far. Now, it hasn't gone great this season, but is it enough to worry about looking at your upcoming fixtures and thinking Vieira can't get a couple wins in there? I'm not sure. Man, listen, on Vieira's part, you do not have to roll out Jordan Ayew. You don't have to, but you were doing that. I always say you die on the sword, and if you want to keep on playing players that should be nowhere near the Prem, that's on you. I just think of people like Wolf Zaha. That's funny. Roy has been wheeled away from the study window. That's hilarious. You look at players like Will Zaha now. Sorry, with things like that, I get images in my head and I can just picture Roy being wheeled away. So yeah, Will Zaha was thriving under Patrick Vieira. He's never been more potent. He's never been more dangerous. And now Will Zaha in his head is probably thinking, God, is he going to go back to defend all game and then hope that I can bail you out again? You do wonder, don't you? You do wonder. And he's not, no, Gavin, he's not that. He's not a lazy moon. He's a very good player. Very, very good player. Liam B is saying Palace have gone backwards. You never go back to a previous manager bad decision. Yeah, it's not. Yeah, especially his style of play, and they're probably just hoping now that he just shuts up the shop and accumulates enough points so where they don't go near the bottom three. But it's very risky, very very risky for me, in my opinion. In my opinion, it is. I know. Sorry, you got. I was gone. I was gone. I'm a very very visual person. So when someone tells me something and I start picturing it, if I find it funny, my head's gone, absolutely gone. Um, and just in terms for us, because obviously they're a team around us, I don't look at that Palace game when we play them any differently now. Not one bit of difference for me. If anything, it will probably take us maybe 60 minutes to break them down because of putting in, four DMs and six defenders. But for me, it doesn't change a thing for me with the way I look at that game against Palace. I still believe that we should be winning that game. And then appointing Roy Hodgson does absolutely nothing for me. Does nothing for me. And speaking to some Palace fans today, they can't believe it. They actually can't believe what's actually happening there, and they don't know where the club are trying to go with this appointment. And if their own fans are saying that, it should tell you everything. So when it comes to that Palace game, I'm still expecting us to take the front foot and get the 3 points. Badgers is saying, I can see Forest, Bournemouth, Palace going down. There are so many teams in this. We're still in it, by the way. I'm not taking us out of it. But when you look at some of the form of some of the teams down there, it's crazy what's going on. It's crazy what's going on. And you're right. It could be a three of anybody. No one actually knows at this point in time who's going to go down. It's exciting. I wish we weren't in it, but it is quite exciting, isn't it? But I do wish that we can get out of it, and hopefully after those two home games, we'll be looking at it in the rearview mirror. Hopefully, yeah. No, hey, listen, yeah. Back to the Future, 100%, 100%. Jason is saying, KG mate, I still think when it's all over, we'll finish 14th. It's possible. It's possible, Jason. I said after the transfer window that I think with the additions that we've made, and obviously it was before Rodrigo got hurt, that 14th is definitely something that we can shoot for. The thing is, though, you see the table. Let me just quickly tell you this one. The points. The points from, I mean, 11th place is out of sight for everybody. You've got Villa in 11th with 38 points, Palace in 12th with 27. It's literally two leagues in one league right now. It's insane. It's actually insane. Um, okay, Michael Esto is saying people are being too critical of this appointment. Look how hard it was for us to get a manager. At least Roy knows the club and the league. He knows the club. But yeah, no, Michael S has got a point. It is tough, and you know what, Michael, you are right in some sense as well. At this point of the season, 21st of March, not long to go, it is going to be tough to get a manager. But I just feel like they panicked a bit with Patrick Vieira because I think he was building something nice there. It's just that it was going to take a few more windows to try and weed out the Jeffrey Schlups and Jordan Ayus and things like that. I think he was building something nice, but hey, is what it is. That's Crystal Palace's business. Let's see how they get on. Paul saying, didn't you say 12th to 14th at the beginning of the season? Did I? I don't think I did. I think I said I think I said 15th or no, Paul, I said 15th or 16th at the start of the season. I said that definitely. And it was purely because we didn't make enough defensive recruiting in that time. We didn't do enough in defense for me. So yeah, I would have said 15th at that time. But I said 14th after the window closed. Yeah, AFV crazy season is absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. But listen, people, hey, listen, this has been a great show. Great show. And I know it's international break, so I don't know how frequent I'm going to be on. If there's any major news, of course, I will come back and we can all chat it up and chop up the business of Leeds United. I was considering doing a watch long for an international game, but I'll be honest, I do not care about international football one bit. Not one bit, man. It doesn't interest me. But if I was to do one, it would just be to come on and chat to you guys. It would be that would purely be it. But it's been a great stream, people. Really good comments today. Give me your thoughts in the comments after the video as well about anything discussed. Hit a like on the video, please. Big way to support the channel. Best way, and it's free. It doesn't take you long. And yeah, subscribe to the channel too. I'll see you in the next video, people. Have a good one. Peace out.